Hi. Um, Today I'm going to start teaching you about the tools if you want to do some painting with us. And there are several tools that are necessary. There are some that are nice, so let me go through them just a little bit. So one of the most important things is the multi-surface paint. And this is from Plaid Folk Art Multi-Surface. The nice thing about the multi-surface paint is it has a medium in it that makes it very easy to paint. You can also buy just the plain medium and the floating medium. It makes like if your paper's dry, when we paint on paper, it's a little bit drier than other media. So this helps it to slide just a little bit better. And some of the colors that are suggested are a wicker white, a burnt umber, the licorice, the dioxine purple, a cobalt blue, and an orange. One of the yellows, daffodil yellow or moon yellow. Moon yellow is pretty. It works really well. And then we have two greens. We have a citrus green and a sap green. Those are nice. You could also get a thicket, which is nice. And then three of the red and red blues. We have an apple red, a magenta, and a berry wine. Those are all really good colors to start out with basics, because you can make a lot of other colors with those. And they're nice. You can tell that they're the multi-surface because they have this stamp on the top. Now, there are other paints. There are some for glass and there are some for fabric. And this is the suggested for a lot of the projects that we're going to do. We're not going to get into glass or fabric for a long time. Okay, so that's our paint. And the next thing you want to know about are brushes. And we have, let me pull this up. We have quite a few brushes, and they come in sets. Let me get one of the sets to show you. Okay, so there are two different sets. There's one that is Donna Dewberry's specials, and they look like this. They're purple with purple flowers, and she has a whole big set of them. And then she has her teaching set, which generally come with kits and other sundries, but they come like this, and you get some pouncies, some flats, some script liners. Let me see if I can find a script liner for you. Script liners are very small, but there's a whole bunch of these in a set. There's different sets too, so if you're interested in that. If you just want to practice and see if you like it, then I'd suggest getting one of the cheaper sets to do this. Okay, the one thing that I do have is I have a size 1. Now these flats come from a size 2, which is really, really small, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 1/2, 3/4, and then I have an inch from a different company, which I use this if I'm working on canvas. Sometimes you want to erase, and you can use this bigger one, dip it in water, and then erase with the bigger one. So I keep this just for erasing goodies. Let's see. The other thing that I have is a palette knife, and if what I've found, and you can kind of see with my 3/4 brush, is when you mix, when I mix different colors, and you can see I've mixed black with white, it's very hard to get that black out of the ferrule and this is the ferrule. Once you get it in there, it's really hard to get it out, and you don't want to soak them in water because then it can loosen these brushes. There's wood down here. It can destroy your brush. The Dewberrys suggest that you use a mixture of Dawn liquid soap and Murphy's oil, and then soak them if they get like this, and I haven't had a chance to do that to tell you whether it works or not. But the big thing is with these flat brushes, you want to be able to keep a chisel, and a chisel is a very straight edge, and mine, I don't know if you can see that, it's gotten kind of poofed up. So I use this one just for doing backgrounds if I'm doing a big background. I do have another one of those. I have several of them that have a real nice chisel, and it's almost knife edge. It's very straight, and that's what we paint with. And then again, I use this now to mix. If I'm mixing colors together, I'll use this to mix it and save my brushes. The other thing that you're going to need are something to paint on. Oh, and let's talk about sponges. Sponges. These are really nice when you do backgrounds, and I have a couple sets of these. They have a harsh side, but then they have the sponge side on the other side, and those are really nice for doing like large backgrounds that you want. They keep the flow going really nice, a lot better than sometimes even this. This will give you a different kind of look for a background than these will. So these are very nice for that. Okay, so let's talk about keeping your brushes clean a little bit. Now, they do have this. Plaid has this. It's a brush basin, and it's very small. There's a place where you can stick your brushes so that just the brush is in the water and not the ferrule. And it also has I don't know if you can see that. It's raised edges that you can squish your paintbrush across to try and get more of the paint out. I also have the bigger one that I like a little better. I'm saving this one for a class, this smaller one for a class. But I also have the bigger one, which is really nice. It has, you can see them, they're raised, and they go from small and then they graduate up. So this is really nice to scrape your brushes against, and it kind of helps to get the paint out of the ferrule. And again, you can sit this in here depending on how high. Yeah, see, that would just about touch the water. I'm really careful trying not to get too much water there. And then you also can stick your brushes in here if you like. So I like this one. It's a little bit bigger and it works just a little bit better. The next thing you're going to need, sponges are an accessory. They're extra. You don't have to have those. The things you do have to have are paints, brushes. You can use a cup to clean out your brushes if you want. That'll work. But the other thing that's really necessary is something to paint on. And before we get to that, I'd like to talk about this. This is just a plain paper plate. And the 9 inches work really well. They have a nice palette that you can hold with your thumb if you're standing up, and then put a 9-inch plate in here. Or they have, I don't know if I have it. Oh, I don't have one. Hang on, I'll go get it. Okay, so the 9 inches fit in here perfectly, and they have little clips that will hold it in so that you can hold it and then it doesn't slide around. When I'm using this, I have to have 2 hands to keep it from sliding around, especially when I'm loading my brush. Sometimes it'll get moving. But the other thing that they have is this is a paint carousel, and it comes apart. You can put paint in each one of these. Usually she puts a paint in here and a paint in here, and then she uses this to mix them together. But it has a place to put your medium, the sliding medium, floating medium, and then it has a little lid. But it also has, you can wet this sponge, open it up, wet it, and then put it back in here. I keep copper in here to kind of help it not to get moldy, mildewy. And then I clean mine out quite a bit so it doesn't. I'm a little fussy. My mother did that to me, helped me with that. But this slaps on here. But if you like this more than the foam plates, then it just slides in here. You have to get it kind of lined up with these, and then you can twist it, and it stays in there, and you have your palette. And it's really nice. It's made for right hand or left hand painters. You can put your medium in here, you can put your brushes, you can put a rag up through here. So this is just a nice little tool to have also. now I'm going to start with the easiest and work to more expensive things. So a lot of times I just use paper to practice. I use, this is a 85 pound paper. It's very heavy, and you can see I've painted on it. It's a grayscale. Now they suggest grayscale because grayscale, if you're doing white at the edge, then the white will show up on the grayscale paper. But you can use whatever you have. If you have even just plain typing paper, light typing paper, that'll work too. This is really nice to practice on. The other thing that sometimes I will practice on is nothing more than, these are baking sheets, and you can get them at Amazon. And you can actually find some of her guides. When you put this on here, you can see, and then it helps to guide you to go ahead and paint what's under it. And so these are really nice. The other thing that I've used are these sheet protectors, and you just slip your sheet inside of there. Let me put it in this way. You just slip your sheet inside of there, and then you can paint on this. Now make sure that you wipe it off, because this multi-surface paint will become permanent after a while, and as long as it's wet you can get it off and then repaint it. So these are really nice too if you have some of those around the house. And again, we talked about the foam plates. They're nice to keep your paint on. But after this, then I went ahead and I bought a Canson. And let me pull that up so you can see it a little better. I bought the Canson oil and acrylic paper, and this is a size 11 by 14. What I like about this, it really mimics the canvas. It's a lot easier to paint on than just plain paper, craft paper. I get the 136 pound, which really mimics well the canvas, and you can see it's a lot thicker, it's heavier, it has a finish to it almost like canvas. It's got the raised, but it's a lot easier to paint on. And when you get ready to paint a good picture, sometimes we'll paint it on here first just to practice, to see how it's going to lay out, how we're going to lay things out before we start on a canvas. So that's something nice. It's extra. You can get different sizes. That's an 11 by 14, but you can get a 9 by 12. You can even get smaller than that. The next thing that is nice are these hard, see my brain, canvases. And they're solid, but they're nice to practice on too, and they have it's easier to paint on that. And then the last thing that I have are the stretched canvases. Oh, let me pull that up quite a bit for you. Let's see, there we go. And they, this is actually, I think, from Michael's or Joann's. There's 7 pieces in it. These are 11 by 14s, and they're stretched very nicely, you can see. And then you just go ahead and paint on these. So there's a lot of choices for you, and I would suggest while you're learning to just do it on some kind of construction paper or typing paper even. I also have some, let me get one, wooden. Some wooden shapes, and this is from Joann's. The one thing with wood, when you paint on it, I generally put a coat down first, my background, but you will find that because it's wood, it will raise the grain a little bit and it'll become rough. So we suggest going ahead and doing some kind of a sanding block. This comes from Plaid. You can get them from Dewberry's also, but you can just use a block with a piece of sandpaper rubbed against it. Now remember, you always go with the grain. You don't rub across the grain, you rub with it. And you just do it lightly, and that'll take that heavy little, it feels rough, and make it ready for painting. Okay, I've shown you the brushes. I've shown you, let's see, is there anything else? I do have an easel. I have a table easel because I had back surgery. The table easel, I can sit up. I don't have to bend over a table, which makes it really nice. There are other things. There's a cleaner that they have. a rubber dip dot. And a lot of times when we want to do dots, we'll just use the end of a brush, dip it in paint, and then dip it on our project. But those are nice too. They come in various sizes, which makes them nice. Okay, these are some things to get you started. Remember, the big thing you need are paintbrushes, paint, and a surface. You can always use foam plates and a cup with water to clean to get you started. You don't need a lot of fancy things. You just need a few things. I'll put a list of some of the popular colors that'll help you get started, and I'll see you back here. I'm going to try and do this again next week so that we can paint some things. We'll talk about some of the brushes and what they do. Okay, I'm really glad to be back. I'm glad to see some of you have stayed with me. Thank you so much. I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.